Hey, how are you today? I recently did a painting, a digital painting, on my iPad using Procreate, and I did it of a manatee, and I want to show you how I did it. Here's the picture, and I have a time-lapse video that I'm going to narrate right now to show you how I did that picture of the manatee. All right, it's a baby manatee, by the way. I had to make a baby. They're a little bit cuter than the adults. All right, here we go. Well, there's the overview of the final, or the finished picture. And so let me show you how I did this. So I'm using Procreate on an iPad, and I had a couple of reference photos I was using, and I started out sketching. I don't always start out sketching. Sometimes I start out with a broader brush and doing shapes instead of sketches. And as you can tell, in this first sketch, my intent wasn't originally to do the full body, but I decided to, originally I was just going to do like a portrait, if you will, of the manatee. But then I pulled it back, or pulled the so-called camera back. And so I sketched it with pencil, and then I started to paint it with gouache. And as I was putting the gouache on, it occurred to me that I can either continue with the gouache, which would have been okay, and it would have made it similar to a lot of the other artwork I've done for like children's books, which is okay, because I love doing children's books. But I thought, what if I used like the oil colors? My favorite oil brushes, I should say. My favorite oil brushes are the oil brush, the turpentine brush, and the dry brush. Those are my three favorites on the Procreate application, on the app. So here you can see that I'm adding in the darks and the lights. Now let me tell you about the color choices. I was looking at pictures of manatees, photos of manatees, a couple that Robin and I took, by the way. I was looking at them and realizing that I don't really know what color a manatee is, because it's always underwater, and there's always this reflection from the water and from the sky that seems to be on the manatee, simply because it's always in water. And that's how I always see it. Manatee is in water. I think the gray is probably a fair thing to say, like an elephant. But they do have a blue or a blue-green or turquoise hue to them in some shots. And so that's what I was going for. This is a little bit more right now on the green side than what I ended up with, but you can tell there's blues and greens and grays in there. So I was layering in the different lights and darks. The animal has quite a few folds of skin, quite a few places where light gets reflected and shadows get cast. And so I wanted to make sure that I included those around his face, on his belly, and his eyes also. I wanted them to be a little bit more puppy dog-ish than what was in the photo I was using. Now, I'm not trying to recreate God's creation of a manatee. What I'm doing is remembering seeing one in Homosassa Springs, and it did have kind of a puppy dog look to it. And so the reference photo I was using, it almost looked like the manatee was squinting, had his eyes closed. And well, I was shooting for cute. I was wanting something that was cute. And so I remembered the puppy dog eyes on the manatee that Robin and I saw in Homosassa Springs, and kind of went for that. And I think I got it. The manatee's eyes are kind of not sunken in. I don't want to say that, but they are, for lack of a better way to say it, I'll just say they're sunken in. All eyes really are sunken in on all of us mammals. But I think the manatee has a little bit more fat around the top and the bottom, probably to protect the eyes. I don't really know. I'm not the Autobahn of aquatic life. I just paint what I see. And in this case, I wasn't trying to create a character as I might, like if this was a children's story about a manatee, he would have had a better smile. And in fact, speaking of the smile, the manatee I was using looked sad. And I did want this one to look, not so sad. So I did kind of pull up the corners of the mouth, or the one corner right there. Not much, just a little bit, just to make it look like a smile. All right, a lot of people ask me when they see this happening, what am I doing here? Well, what I'm doing is I'm painting a second layer. I duplicated the whole painting, and then I'm painting over with one color. Usually it's the background color that I've been working with. In this case, it was white. So what I want to do is I want to completely cover it, and here's why. Because see right there? Okay, that's where you have a transparent background and you can see the black shining through. So then you have to you have to change the settings so you can paint the part that didn't get painted, so that when you place it over something, because you don't want the background to shine through it, you don't want it to seem to be transparent. So then I put the painting over the matted painting, if like that's the best way to call it, is a matted painting. That way it has more of a solid or an opaque ness. It's almost like a sticker, and then you can paint the background as you see I'm doing here, and not have to worry about it shining through. Right there, you can see I made a mistake. I started painting the wrong layer, but that's what happened there. And so I was looking at pictures underwater and seeing this blue, green, and blue, and then I had to relook at the manatee pictures that Robin and I took, and you can see where the light is hitting them, and that's what I'm doing here. So I'm adding light to the water, adding light to the manatee, and you see those little squiggly light-colored lines, or light, super light blue lines. They're not white, but they're super light, almost white, blue. Almost white, but they're light blue lines. See on the floor of the river where the manatee is. And that was to create that look that sunlight creates when it shines through water onto something, whether it's the bottom of a swimming pool, the bottom of a river, or the back, in this case, of a manatee. And then I created the reflection at the surface of the water. I did try to put bubbles, but changed my mind about them. And the reflection above the manatee's head is, I duplicated the layer, I flipped it over, and reduced the opacity, and created a reflection look. And then finally, the sunlight coming in through the water is just simply brush strokes, just pulling them down and making sure they're not too dark or too obvious. Okay. All right. Well, there it is. There's the manatee, and kind of had a good time with it. I got a lot of comments on Facebook with this one. It's a much loved creature. It really is, and it is a joy when you see one in the wild. And Robin and I went to Three Sisters Springs in Crystal River, and we did see some in the wild, and it was very exciting to see them. I've never, I was going to say I never swam with them. You can swim with them. You're not allowed to touch them. There's some laws about that, but you can swim near them or snorkel with them. And usually there's like these little tour groups that you pay a few dollars and you can do that. There was one time though, on a Mother's Day years ago, I was on a pontoon boat with my family, and there was a manatee right outside the boat, and we all saw it. And so I got off the boat into the water and went looking for it, and I could not find it. So they may be big. They may look like they're slow. In fact, they always seem to be slow. But I think these guys can move, because that Mother's Day was gone. Okay, well, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoy these kind of things. If there's anything that I've said that brings up a question, type it into the comments below and I'll address it. I don't have too many fans anyway, so it's easy to kind of manage all of that. All right, see you later. Bye.